Hi there. Talking about innovation and entrepreneurship, I'm very pleased to have secured Mr. Maik Fuellmann from Germany because, based on our friendship, I know that Mr. Fuellmann was once an entrepreneur. So I like to ask him several questions based on his past experience. Mr. Fuellmann, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much, Eric. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. So it's early in Germany and late afternoon in Hong Kong. Glad to talk with you a little bit about entrepreneurship and my experiences as the innovator in Southeast Asia.
Wonderful. Let me get straight into it. Now I know that you were once an entrepreneur, so I'm curious to know what exactly is the business that you had started. What do you consider to be the innovative elements in it?
Look, we started a smart mobile learning company. So we developed solutions that combine gamification and learning in a kind of mobile environment, which is very much suitable for today learners, for the people that are learning on the go. And we divided the learning content into smaller bite-sized chunks of information and use this concept in schools, universities, but also in companies to train the stuff on on science subjects or on typical school subjects, but also on process and product knowledge. And this entrepreneurial venture existed 5 years. So we started 2015 and worked from Thailand. We had also an entity in Malaysia and about 20 people, and closed down last year due to COVID because we were unable to continue our business in that form as we did it 5 years before. So that is the current situation. And what was innovative about it? The innovative thing about it was we developed a certain algorithm, and this algorithm allowed us to combine gaming and learning in one application. To make it easier, maybe to understand, I give you an example. We all, when we try to bring things to our mind, we want to memorize things, we always have to concentrate on it. So if you concentrate on a subject, for example, on learning vocabulary, it's very stressful for your brain and you need some, I would say, short breaks to relax. And the idea was to combine learning and gaming. So for example, you learn vocabulary, French vocabulary, and while you're learning 20 new words, the system interjects maybe questions about Harry Potter or Star Wars or superheroes in your learning, so that you are somehow forced to concentrate, and then, oh, you have an entertaining question. So you can reflect in your brain, you can memorize better. And we did some research on that, and we found out that our method is about 20 to 30% more effective in terms of memorization than classical ways of learning. And we use that tool for vocational education, mainly for people who are, I would say, always on different locations, and also for front-end stuff of several companies with, I would say, quite some success. We had more than 40,000 students, and we worked together with organizations like UNESCO or United Nations Environmental Program, particular on learning about sustainability. So it all went very well. So we had about $1 million US revenues in 2019, and in 2020 we had zero.
Right. Well, that's a pity, but based on your explanations, I get it that it's a smart, flexible, and instantaneous, e-learning tool, which obviously is a big hit, when it first came to the market. Now, again, as in your entrepreneurship journey, I'm led to believe that there are lots and lots of things that you have to worry about and you have to attend to. So tell us some of the things that, you have to set up in order to get your business rolling, at least initially.
Look, in the very beginning, I was an experienced entrepreneur before. So I set up 3 companies in my life, in Germany, one in China, 2005, quite a while ago. And then I become a lecturer, as you know, at Bangkok University, and also teaching entrepreneurship. So we did actually everything out of the book. So we developed a business plan, we developed a strategy, we formed a team from very enthusiastic students and highly qualified students, but also had some experts, like in the programming field. We had an engineer and informatic expert in that field. So we did really everything out of the book, and we also tried to use our networks and to build alliances to bring that I would say concept into play. That was basically the preparations. Maybe one of the difficulties we discovered, I think you will also ask about difficulties, was that I'm a German and I worked in Thailand and wanted to set up the company in a country where I'm not a resident. And that was from the very beginning maybe one of the flaws in the blueprint we just discovered after a while.
So you had a lot of difficulties in setting up your foreign companies in Asia, is that right?
Yes, exactly. That is the major challenges was really that we, as I'm a resident in Thailand, but we decided to set up a Thai company, the restrictions, the red tape for foreigners to open up a business.
Right, okay.
Were quite difficult. And also, for example, with our Hong Kong bank account, we had very much difficulty in the beginning to make it up and running. And some details were simply the problem. Like, for example, the certification of documents. So that means some legal document that I have from my home country, Germany in this case, have to be certified in Hong Kong. And we paid, I don't know how much, thousands of dollars for notaries and for certification things, which was absolutely not on the screen when we started that activities. And also when we started to apply for a patent, not for a patent, but for a copyright, it became even more difficult. Yeah, to do that in a country where you're not resident. So these were some small things that I would have maybe known when it would be in Germany, yeah, as I'm German, but I could not see it, or I could not foresee it in this very moment in Asia.
Thank you very much.
So
That sounds to me that when you scaled up your entrepreneurship journey, especially you go global, you start to experience many of the restrictions and regulations in local jurisdictions, especially in overseas countries, and those can be significant. If you do not have a strategy to get around it. So let me ask you the final question. That is, with many of my students and friends who are eagerly charting forward to be an entrepreneur, based on your experience, what would be the lessons learned and what would be your advice to them in order to reduce the risk of another failure, put it this way?
I think when I'm looking back on what we did, I think I'm very happy with our operations. I think we are very good in developing the product itself. One of the recommendations that I would give is funding. Make sure that you from the beginning have a sound shareholder structure, a good funding with deep pockets from the very beginning. Because what we discovered in our area is that you need a very long time to not only to develop the MVP, also a minimum viable product, but to win the first clients that really pay. So it's easy to find clients that are maybe testing something, especially when you work with institutions. But to really get paid, it takes 2 years, 3 years. And during this time, you have to cover your costs. You have to cover really not only the development, you also have to run that show, the business development, the flights, the administration. And I did not really take into account that it takes so long. So we had basically a plan for 2 years, but then we had to extend that to almost 4 years until we created revenues that were able to cover our expenses that we had with this business. So I think the funding issue is a big challenge for most of the entrepreneurs and especially innovators. Like, I was very much tempted by that idea to develop a new concept of learning, that my passion for knowledge is that we share. I was very much interested and thought, hey, in Asia, people like gaming, they always with the mobile. What we are doing is exactly what is top in the market. And I thought everybody has to understand it. But the fact was many people understood it, but they were not willing to pay, or they were unable to convince the CFO or the financial department to open up the pocket and to pay for it. And we were funded basically by family and friends. So we did not really bring in a big investor. And let's say the sad thing about it was last year on the 15th of April, I had already appointments with two venture capital companies to invest in our business. So we already pitched, we already had, I would say, an idea of what we are going to do. And then we were hit by COVID about 2 months before. So that means these appointments were canceled because also investors at that time decided that they have to, first of all, stabilize their current portfolio. And they were very reluctant with new investments in companies that they did not know at that point of time. So that was basically the, let's say, this point of no return for us, because we could not say, we couldn't continue with this idea. So we had to freeze it. And I decided to close it down in summer and go back to Germany, because also personally, as you know, when you are a citizen of a country, you have other rights than when I'm now still in Bangkok. I would have no more visa, no more business license or opportunities to work there. So things get more and more challenging in that very moment.
I surely understand you were in a difficult situation because starting entrepreneurship is never easy, and starting entrepreneurship in a foreign country makes it a lot more difficult, as you explained it. And also, thanks for enlightening us that the collection of payment is never as simple as straightforward. There are quite a bit of obstacles and indirections which can easily flare up and delay what we expect or what we budgeted to do. So we must, the plan with all these buffer or buffering zones so that your business can still survive. And I think that's excellent advice. Now, that said, you still have a very innovative idea, and I'm sure that based on what you have learned, you'll be able to get around those mistakes when you come up and restart your entrepreneurship journey. So we are always smarter after the mistakes that's being made, and you have totally convinced me about that. With that, I'd like to thank you for offering this sharing, and I'd like to wrap up this interview. Thank you, Mike, and all the best with you.
Thank you very much, Eric. I wish you and your innovators and entrepreneurs all the best, and good luck in what you're doing and what your team is doing. Always pleasure to be with you and PolyU. Have a great day, and stay tuned.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.